One, for the endorsement. I really appreciate it. It means a lot. We are doing a quick upstate tour, and I want to make sure we came to Binghamton, and thank you for inviting us. And thank you. I know endorsement from everybody, but I appreciate everybody being here just to talk about good cause, which is really important. I started my work. I'm a community organizer by training. It was specifically tenant organizing, so I know very much the importance of good cause. When I was organizing and tenants would come to me and say, I want to get repairs in the apartment, I remember having to ask them if they had any type of rent regulation, if they had any type of regulation that would allow them to get an automatic lease renewal, because if they didn't, and this was downstate a little bit, but if they didn't, I would say I can help you get the repairs, but you may not get your lease renewed, and the landlord may actually just jack up the rent. So we have to figure out whether it's worth it or not. And so what the ability to have an automatic lease renewal does is it allows tenants to activate the other rights that they have, because some of those rights can't be activated because of fear of you getting evicted, simply because you want to live in a house that is humane and habitable for human beings. And sadly, the last governor didn't do much about this. Even more sadly, we have a new governor who has remained silent about this for very many years. And right now, unfortunately, the eviction moratorium has lapsed because of the governor. In the middle of winter, in the middle of an Omicron surge, and on top of that, we don't even have good cause eviction. And that's not the kind of leadership we need right now. And that's one of the reasons I keep saying I don't want to return to normal, because normal is what got us here in the first place. Normal has had these tenants. This is not the first time they're having these issues. As a matter of fact, we've been complaining about these issues for a very long time. The pandemic just made it worse. Good cause shouldn't be pitting, as mentioned, people against each other, particularly responsible owners, small homeowners who need assistance themselves. They don't want to get foreclosed on, against tenants. There's a lot in common there, but we don't want anyone to lose their homes. And what we're seeing is we're not getting assistance even for the small homeowners or for the tenants. And people who are against this bill sometimes don't even understand. I think the people who have a lot of money are trying very hard to confuse folks, as was mentioned. This still allows you to evict a tenant who's problemsome if they're refusing to pay, if they're harming or damaging the property, or if that owner needs that unit for their own family. This allows for that. This simply says the baseline. Just give us a reason for why you're evicting. That's all. It's just saying you can't simply evict someone because you don't like them. And we understand that there's rights involved here, but the rights of tens of thousands of people who are facing eviction outweigh someone saying, I just don't want this tenant here. And so it allows for certain evictions, but what it says is you have to give a reason if you're going to evict this person, or you have to give a lease renewal. And so that provides a basic amount of protection, which is what we need in New York State right now. We should be leading. We shouldn't be behind, and of course we are. There are neighboring states that have this, and what we see now is because the state hasn't acted. Thankfully, we see localities trying their best to act where the state has it. So we want to support Binghamton, the council member, and others who are really trying to get this basic level of protection for tenants. And I'm hoping as that happens, the state will just act like other states have. I'm hoping, I do know, when I'm governor, you won't have to convince me. We just get it. We just do our best to get it done. But I also know we can't wait till next January. There's a lot of tenants facing eviction right now, so we're asking the governor to push the state legislature to get this done. Thanks again.
Do you mind if I ask you a couple of questions?
Sure.
Okay, great. So beyond this issue, just give me a broader sense of why you're running for governor.
I mean, there's a lot of issues that we're facing right now. As a matter of fact, we've been facing them for a very long time. Housing is a big pillar. It's a tremendous pillar. And what we see is people pitting against each other, right? You have small owners, you have tenants that have much more in common, but the big folks who put a lot of money into campaigns. If we look at the money that donations went to the previous governor, the money and donations that are going to this governor, where there's people who want to push and continue to push bad housing policy, bad nursing home policy, you'll see the same kind of donations. Public safety has been huge for me. I've been a leading voice on public safety safety, gun violence in particular, for over a decade, and now we see it going back up. We need to have someone who has experience in talking about this and understanding the dynamics of what's needed here to address the gun violence, which I'm seeing all across the state. And municipalities have been pleading with Albany to provide the resources, provide the network, provide the policies that are needed to deal with this gun violence. When you talk about a transformative economy, when I heard the State of the State address, what I did understand and what I realized is that that address could have been given before the pandemic. It doesn't meet the moment of where we are right now. We're at a critical time in New York State, and the governor has said we will not entertain any revenue-raising options to actually build the infrastructure that we need in the state. That means you can't get the housing you need. The governor said that they're going to build or preserve 100,000 units for the entire state. That's nowhere close. You know, I come from downstate. That's not even enough for one of the boroughs in New York City, much less the entire state, which means we actually don't have the current administration doesn't understand the magnitude of the problem or doesn't have the ability to match it. We can't fix the healthcare system if we don't understand how much healthcare is intertwined with public safety now. We never will. So we're counting on the money we have from the federal government, which is going to run out. And if we don't really talk about how we're going to get the revenue from the people who can provide their civic duty by giving a little bit more to the state, then we're going to have some problems. So I agree, we definitely have to make sure that we're giving some tax relief to folks in middle income, folks who are working hard as well. But if we're going to do those things, we definitely have to entertain revenue raises. And so I'm very worried about New York State with the way we're going.
All right, last question. How long have you been New York City public advocate? And I'm not sure my viewers are familiar with what that position is. So can you explain what a public advocate is and how long you've been doing that for?
Absolutely. Now, they won't be the only ones who don't know what it is, so it's okay. I was a council member elected in 2010. I was elected as a public advocate in 2019. There are 3 citywide elected officials: the mayor, the public advocate, and the comptroller. The speaker is 4 if you count the speaker of the council. People may know the last public advocate. That was Attorney General Tish James. The public advocate before her was former Mayor Bill de Blasio of New York City. The charter mandate says that it's supposed to make sure that the charter is being responded to by agencies. It's supposed to be a check as an ombudsman on behalf of the people, on the mayor and the city council. They have a vote on the pension board, and they can pass legislation in the city council.
Great. All right, well, thank you so much.
Jim, thank you.
Nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you as well. Thank you.
And let me give you my card.
Of course, yeah. Happy to add you to our press